Good morning, my friends. I know it's bright and early this morning, so thanks for joining me. If you're getting to see the replay on this, well, you need to get up earlier on Saturday mornings. I got to go to the gym. I have a class at 7:30. So, I'm up bright and early so I can get my step class on and embarrass myself as I trip over the step because I'm the most uncoordinated person on the planet. All right, April 29th. I'm also having a hot flash, which doesn't help a lot of things right now. I'm sweating in places I probably shouldn't be sweating. Oh, that's a good look. Happy Saturday, everyone. Use that for some inspiration. All right, and I also don't have my bifocals. All right, April 29th. David escapes through the wilderness, 2 Samuel 17:15 through 29. Hushai told Zadok and Abiathar the priest that Ahithophel had said to Absalom and the elders of Israel, and what he himself had advised instead. Quick, he told them, find David and urge him not to stay in the shallows of the Jordan River tonight. He must go across at once into the wilderness beyond. Otherwise, he will die and his entire army with him. Jonathan and Ahimaaz had been staying at En-Rogel so as to not be seen entering and leaving the city. Arrangements had been made for a servant girl to bring them the message they were to take to King David. But a boy spotted them at En-Rogel, and he told Absalom about it. So they quickly escaped to Bahurim, where a man hid them down inside a well in his courtyard. The man's wife put a cloth over the top of the well and scattered grain on it to dry in the sun. So no one suspected they were there. When Absalom's men arrived, they asked, "Have you seen Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" The woman replied, "They were here, but they crossed over the brook." Absalom's men looked for them without success and returned. Pardon me, I need to get a towel. Okay, I don't know which. Oh, that's the can right there that exploded. Okay, so much for my tower of seltzer. Hold up. Oh, get on early. You'll have plenty of time that way. Except you'll blow up a whole bunch of seltzer. Sorry, just a moment. Hope that's a good view for y'all for a Saturday morning. Okay. The tower of seltzer has fallen. My husband took one look at that tower and said, "That's not a good idea. That's going to fall over." I'm like, "It's perfectly stable." You couldn't see it, but I had 24 cans of seltzer piled up right to about here. He said, "That's not going to be a good idea." Well, I should have listened. Don't anybody tell him that. Now it's just, oh my word. Now it's just this big old pile of seltzer. All right. Where was I? It's okay, Bassie. Oh my gosh. I was right at the beginning, I think. "Get out of here, you murderer and scoundrel," he shouted at David. "The Lord is paying you back for all the bloodshed in Saul's clan. You stole his throne, and now the Lord has given it to your son, Absalom. At last, you will taste some of your own medicine." Nope. That's yesterday's reading. You guys, this is going to teach me. I should never get up early to do something. Oh my word, that was yesterday's. Let me find my place on today's reading. When Absalom's men arrived, they asked her, "Have you seen Ahimaaz and Jonathan?" The woman replied, "They were here, but they crossed over the brook." Absalom's men looked for them without success and returned to Jerusalem. Then the two men crawled out of the well and hurried on to King David. Quick, they told him, cross the Jordan tonight. And they told him how Ahithophel had advised that he be captured and killed. So David and all the people went with him across the Jordan River during the night, and they were all on the outer bank before dawn. When Ahithophel realized that his advice had not been followed, he saddled his donkey, went to his hometown, set his affairs in order, and hanged himself. He died there and was buried in a family tomb. David soon arrived at Mahanaim. By now, Absalom had mobilized the entire army of Israel and was leading his troops across the Jordan River. Absalom had appointed Amasa as commander of his army, replacing Joab, who had been commander under David. Amasa was Joab's cousin. His father was Jether, an Ishmaelite. His mother, Abigail's daughter Nahash, was the sister of Joah, mother of Zeruiah. Absalom and the Israelite army set up camp in the land of Gilead. When David arrived at Mahanaim, he was warmly greeted by Shobi, son of Nahash, who came from Rabbah of the Ammonites, and by Makir, son of Amiel, from Lo-debar, and from Barzillai of Gilead, from Rogelim. They brought sleeping mats, cooking pots, and serving bowls, wheat and barley flour and roasted grain, beans, lentils, honey, butter, sheep, goats, and cheese for David and for those who were with him. I bet their cheese was made from zucchini. I bet it was. For they said, you must all be very hungry and tired and thirsty after your long march through the wilderness. Psalm 3, a psalm of David regarding the time David fled from his son Absalom. O Lord, I have so many enemies. So many are against me. So many are saying, God will never rescue him. But you, O Lord, are a shield around me. You are my glory, the one who holds my head high. I cried out to the Lord, and he answered me from his holy mountain. I lay down and slept, yet I woke up in safety, for the Lord was watching over me. I am not afraid of 10,000 enemies who surrounded me on every side. Arise, O Lord, rescue me, my God. Slap all my enemies in the face. Shatter the teeth of the wicked. Victory comes from you, O Lord. May you bless your people. Shatter the teeth of the wicked. Imagine having your teeth shattered. That would hurt. Psalm 63, a psalm of David regarding a time when David was in the wilderness of Judah. O God, you are my God. I earnestly search for you. My soul thirsts after you. My whole body longs for you in this parched and weary land where there is no water. I have seen you in your sanctuary and gazed upon your power and glory. Your unfailing love is better than life itself. How I praise you. I will praise you as long as I live, lifting up my hands to you in prayer. You satisfy me more than the richest feast. I will praise you with songs of joy. I lie awake thinking of you, meditating on you through the night, because you are my helper. I sing for joy in the shadow of your wings. I cling to you. Your strong right hand holds me securely. But those plotting to destroy me will come to ruin. They will go down into the depths of the earth. They will die by the sword and become the food of jackals. But the king will rejoice in God. All who swear to tell the truth will praise him, while liars will be silenced. Absalom's defeat and death, 2 Samuel 18, 1-18. David now mustered the men who were with him and appointed generals and captains to lead them. He sent the troops out in 3 groups, placing one group under Joab, one under Joab's brother, Abishai, son of Zeruiah, and one under Ittai, the man from Gath. The king told his troops, I am going out with you. But his men objected strongly. You must not go, they urged. If we have to turn and run, and even half of us die, it makes no difference to Absalom's troops. They will be looking only for you. You are worth 10,000 of us, and it is better that you stay here in the town and send help if we need it. If you think that's the best plan, I'll do it, the king answered. So he stood alongside the gate of the town as all the troops marched out in groups of hundreds and thousands. And the king gave this command to Joab, Abishai, and Ittai, For my sake, deal gently with young Absalom. And all the troops heard the king give this order to his commanders. Everything this man has done, it is his father. And he's like, treat him gently. So the battle began in the forest of Ephraim, and the Israelite troops were beaten back by David's men. There was a great slaughter that day, and 20,000 men laid down their lives. The battle raged all across the countryside, and more men died because of the forest than were killed by the sword. During the battle, Absalom happened to come upon some of David's men. He tried to escape on his mule, but he rode beneath the thick branches of a great tree, and his hair got caught in the tree. His mule kept going and left him dangling in the air. It sounds like something from a movie. One of David's men saw what had happened and told Joab, I saw Absalom dangling from a great tree. What? Joab demanded. You saw him there and didn't kill him? I would have rewarded you with 10 pieces of silver and a hero's belt. I would not kill the king's son, even for 1,000 pieces of silver, the man replied to Joab. We all heard the king say to you and Abishai and Ittai, for my sake, please spare young Absalom. And if I had betrayed the king by killing his son, and the king would certainly find out who did it, you yourself would be the first to abandon me. Enough of this nonsense, Joab said. Then he took 3 daggers and plunged them into Absalom's heart as he dangled, still alive, in the great tree. 10 of Joab's young armor-bearers surrounded Absalom and killed him. Then Joab blew the ram's horn, and his men returned from chasing the army of Israel. They threw Absalom's body into a deep pit in the forest and piled a great heap of stones over it, and all of Israel fled to their homes. During his lifetime, Absalom had built a monument to himself in the king's valley, for he said, I have no son to carry on my name. He named the monument after himself, and it is known as Absalom's monument to this day. David mourns Absalom's death, 2 Samuel 18:19 through 33. Then Zadok, son of Ahimaaz, said, Let me run to the king with the good news that the Lord has rescued him from his enemies. No, Joab told him, it wouldn't be good news to the king that his son is dead. You can be my messenger another time, but not today. Then Joab said to the man from Ethiopia, Go and tell the king what you have seen. The man bowed and ran off. But Ahimaaz continued to plead with Joab. Whatever happens, please let me go too. Why should you go, my son? Joab replied. There will be no reward for your news. Yes, but let me go anyway, he begged. Joab finally said, All right, go ahead. So Ahimaaz took the less demanding route by way of the plain and ran to Mahanaim ahead of the Ethiopian. While David was sitting between the inner and outer gates of the town, the watchman climbed the roof of the gateway by the wall. As he looked, he saw a lone man running towards them. He shouted the news down to David, and the king replied, If he is alone, he has news. As the messenger came closer, the watchman saw another man running towards them. He shouted, Here comes another one. The king replied, He also will have news. The first man runs like Ahimaaz, son of Zadok, the watchman said. He is a good man and comes with good news, the king replied. Then Ahimaaz cried out to the king, Everything is all right. He bowed before the king with his face to the ground and said, Praise to the Lord your God, who has handed over your rebels, who dared to stand against the Lord my king. What about young Absalom? The king demanded. Is he all right? Ahimaaz replied, When Joab told me to come, there was a lot of commotion, but I didn't know what was happening. Wait here, the king told him, so Ahimaaz stepped aside. Then the man from Ethiopia arrived and said, I have good news for the Lord my king. Today the Lord has rescued you from all those who rebelled against you. What about young Absalom? The king demanded. Is he all right? And the Ethiopian replied, May all of your enemies, my lord the king, both now and in the future, share the fate of that young man. The king was overcome with emotion. He went up to the room over the gateway and burst into tears. And as he went, he cried, Oh, my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you. Oh, Absalom, my son, my son. Joab rebukes the king. 2 Samuel 19, 1 through 14. Word soon reached Joab that the king was weeping and mourning for Absalom. And as all the people heard of the king's deep grief for his son, the joy of that day's victory was turned into deep sadness. They crept back into the town that day as though they were ashamed and deserted in battle. The king covered his face with his hands and kept on crying, Oh, my son Absalom, oh, Absalom, my son, my son. Then Joab went to the king's room and said to him, We saved your life today, and the lives of your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your concubines. Yet you act like this, making us feel ashamed of ourselves. You seem to love those who hate you and hate those who love you. You have made it clear today that your commanders and troops mean nothing to you. It seems that if Absalom had lived and all of us had died, you would be pleased. Now go out there and congratulate your troops, for I swear by the Lord that if you don't go out, not a single one of them will remain here tonight. Then you will be worse off than ever before. So the king went out and took his seat at the town gate, and as the news spread throughout the town that he was there, everyone went to him. Meanwhile, the Israelites who had supported Absalom fled to their homes, and throughout all the tribes of Israel there was much discussion and argument going on. The people were saying, "The king rescued us from our enemies and saved us from the Philistines." But Absalom chased him out of the country. Now Absalom, whom we anointed to rule over us, is dead. Why not ask David to come back and be our king? Then King David sent Zadok and Abiathar the priests to say to the elders of Judah, "Why are you the last ones to come back to the king? Come to welcome back the king into his palace? For I have heard that all of Israel is ready. You are my relatives, my own tribe, my own flesh and blood. So why are you the last ones to welcome back the king?" And David told them to tell Amasa, "Since you are my own flesh and blood, like Joab, may God strike me and even kill me if I do not appoint you as commander of my army in his place." Then Amasa convinced all the men of Judah, and they responded unanimously. They sent word to the king, "Return to us and bring back all who are with you." David's return to Jerusalem, 2 Samuel 19:15 through 18a. So the king started back to Jerusalem, and when he arrived at the Jordan River, the people of Judah came to Gilgal to meet him and escort him across the river. Shimei, son of Gera, the man from Bahurim in Benjamin, hurried across with the men of Judah to welcome King David. 1,000 other men from the tribe of Benjamin were with him, including Ziba, the chief servant of the house of Saul, and Ziba's 15 sons and 20 servants. They rushed down to the Jordan to meet the king. They crossed the shallows of the Jordan to bring the king's household across the river, helping him in every way they could. David's mercy to Shimei, 2 Samuel 19:18b through 23. As the king was about to cross the river, Shimei fell down before him. "My lord the king, please forgive me," he pleaded. "Forget the terrible thing your servant did when you left Jerusalem. May the king put it out of his mind. I know how much I have sinned. That is why I have come here today, the very first person in all of Israel, to greet my lord the king." Then Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said, "Shimei should die, for he cursed the Lord's anointed king." "Who asked your opinion, you sons of Zeruiah?" David exclaimed. Why have you become my adversary today? This is not a day for execution, for today I am once again the king of Israel." Then, turning to Shimei, David vowed, "Your life will be spared." David's kindness to Mephibosheth, 2 Samuel 19:24 through 30. Now Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson, came down from Jerusalem to meet the king. He had not cared for his feet, trimmed his beard, or washed his clothes since the day the king left Jerusalem. "Why didn't you come with me, Mephibosheth?" the king asked. Mephibosheth replied, "My lord the king, my servant Ziba deceived me. I told him, 'Saddle my donkey so I can go with the king.' For as you know, I am crippled. Ziba has slaughtered me by saying that I refused to come. But I know that my lord the king is like an angel of God, so do what you think is best. All my relatives and I could expect only death from you, my lord, but instead you have honored me by allowing me to eat at your own table. What more can I ask?" "You've said enough," David replied. "I've decided that you and Ziba will divide your land equally between you." Give him all of it," Mephibosheth said. "I am content just to have you safely back again, my lord the king." Okay. All right. Yes, I do make Mama do sometimes, Mallory. I do. It's yummy. I haven't made it in a long time, but I used to make it all the time. All right. April 29th, breaking free. 1 John 4:16 says, "God is love." You already have access to the key that sets you free from any ball and chain you've been dragging around. You've probably felt the heaviness of shame, regrets, the fear of being unworthy, but you don't have to be weighed down by them anymore. What will set you free? The truth of God's love, John 8:32. God's great love broke some of my chains, and it can break your chains too. He brings this freedom to us through the truth he gives in his word. His truth can break through any lies you believe, lies about yourself and your value, and reveal the truth about who you are and why he created you. In this truth, you can be comfortable with who you are in him. Breaking free from the shackles of shame does not happen instantly or according to a 10-step process. It's a beautiful, everyday journey. It involves ongoing discoveries of the depth of God's love for you and his limitlessness of power to transform you, recreate you, and continually renew you. Ask for help from the Holy Spirit. Seek, pray, and discover more about God's love and power. Let him free you with his unfailing love. Lord, help me hear your voice of love rather than the lying voice of shame. so I can live with confidence and hope in you. All right. Right, Beth? Here's a good pre-workout stretch, cleaning up that mess. I'm going to leave it right there too. I'll clean it up later. I got things to do. It can stay right there. My phone, I dropped that again. That's okay. It's already got 3 cracks in the screen. What's another one? All right, my friends, let's go ahead and end in a word of prayer. Father in heaven, I thank you so much for our time together. Thank you for laughter. Thank you for the joy that even a silly mess in the kitchen can bring. Thank you for all the blessings you've given us today. I pray for those that are watching, that they have a wonderful day. I pray for those that are experiencing grief and sadness. I pray for my husband as he deals with some things around our loss. I pray, Father, for Pam and the loss of her brother-in-law. Father, I just pray for your comfort and your peace today. Please go before us and help us to keep our eyes and hearts focused on you and everything that we say and do, and help us to be a blessing to someone in our path today. In your name I pray. Amen. Okay, my friends, I'm off to the gym. Got to go get my workout on. I got my workout clothes on. I'm ready to go. Let's go do this thing. I will be praying for that specifically, Melissa. Absolutely. Thank you for letting me know. All right, friends. I love you so much. Have a blessed day and go work out go do something. Go for a walk. Go get your exercise on. Because if I got to be miserable and sweating and questioning my motives, you should too. All right. I love you all. Have a great day. Bye.